Welcome back to the Mike and Matt Show, brought to you by Alpha Funding. Hey, Matt.
How are you, Michael?
Feeling great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Dude, it is midsummer. It's beautiful out. It might be a little too hot. Sometimes it gets a little too hot, but it is amazing outside.
We'll complain about the hot when it's cold, and we'll complain about the cold when it's hot. It's all the same thing.
That's what we do every year.
Exactly. But I'm actually really excited to be here because we have with us entrepreneur, investor, alpha borrower, Tam Lee. And we're going to spend the next hour or so of our podcast learning a little bit about how she got her start, what she's working on, how she balances her life, how she makes it all happen, what she does, even though we're in the type of economy we are, to keep deals going, get them done, and run a successful business.
Absolutely. Tam,
let's get
welcome
started.
To the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tam, so we always, when we're interviewing our interviewees, we always want to know how you got into real estate. And if I see you went to Gwinnett Mercy University, you graduated from Gwinnett.
Yes.
Now, what was your major?
I had a double major in math and accounting.
Okay. So
Yes.
math and accounting.
Yes.
Now you're in real estate.
Now I'm in real estate.
How did we get there?
I don't know. It just happened. Life happened. But yeah, so how do I get into real estate? So pretty much I like to... I never knew, like I always thought real estate was a thing when I was in college and I was working at, I went to Gwinnett Mercy University and also worked at Gwinnett Mercy University when I graduated. And I always wanted to buy a house, just to own a home. I didn't own a home then. And I just thought that, I just liked it, but it's just always in the back of my head, my mind. And I went just doing the thing, working after graduation, graduated, and then went to work as an accountant. But then I always wanted to do something different. Like I always wanted to be, to go into, to own my own business.
So the business part and the real estate part. You said that you always were interested in real estate. What was so appealing for you about real estate?
Like, what was that moment?
Because
was it your house your personal home when you first bought it and you're like, I feel so successful? Was it your first investment property? What was that moment? You're out of college, you're working in college. What's that moment where you go, I need to spend my life doing this forever?
I didn't have that moment then.
Okay.
Right? I did not. I bought the house only because I didn't want to pay rent.
Okay.
I figure why am I paying rent when I can pay the mortgage and own my own home down the road? I got into real estate when I had my children. Didn't want to work 9 to 5 or 9 to 10 because at the month end close, it's just like take forever for me to get home. So when I had my kids, that's when I wanted to break out to that 9 to 5 thing and own my own business. And when I listened to the radio, when they introduced, like they did the infomercial with Tan Merrill,
Fortune
Fortune Builders. Yes.
Fortune Builders.
So I went to their classes for a couple of days, the free class for the couple hours first, sign up for the couple of days classes, and just felt that butterfly in my stomach.
Yeah, baby.
And I was like, yes, and I was like, I got to do this.
What were you doing at the time? You were working full time.
I was working full time as a accountant and financial analyst for Ralph Lauren.
So let me ask you this. So you got the butterflies.
Yes.
How long ago was that?
7 years ago.
7 years. So for the last 7 years,
Yes.
you've been fully into this. I got the butterflies for real estate and I got to do it.
I dived right in.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'll tell everybody listening and watching, like 7 years is a long time in this business. I've been around for 10 and I've seen comes and goes and people are really in, they're really out. So to hold on, to stay in the business for that long is actually, it's incredibly impressive. So what was your tactic when you started? Like, I think the most interesting thing that I hear from a lot of people when they listen to the show or just when they talk to me in general is like, it's that moment when early on, everybody has that moment where they're like, I don't know if I can do more than the one. First, it's hard for them to get the first one. Then after they get the first one, they feel the excitement for it, but they're like, that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work. What is the thing that makes you feel like you did it, you got into it finally, okay, we got the first one done. What brings you back to it? Is it the lifestyle, like you were saying about being able to be with your kids? Is it the deals themselves? Is it interacting with the people? Like, what is it that keeps bringing you back every time you finish a project or you put a project in the portfolio? What is that thing that just gets you to come back to it?
Well, one thing, I love it. I still love what I do, right? Another thing is that when I went into a very old and beat up house, and I could visualize what I wanted to do with it. And when I saw my finished product, it's just that feeling like I created this from this old beat up home. Now I brought it back to life, and it never gets old with me. I love it.
What was your first deal that you completed? So when you got started with Fortune Builders, you got moving. What was your first deal?
What was my first deal was the wholesale deal. I drove around and I saw there was a side estate sale. So I went into the house and they were selling the items, and I asked the person that's selling it, I was like, well, are you selling your house as well? I was nervous. It was my very first deal. Very nervous. But I asked, like, are you selling the house? I say, well, it's not my house, but I can give you the number to the owner. So I called them up, and I had to write down what am I supposed to ask them on the phone. And I call them up, and it's just like, they say, oh, yeah, we want to sell the house as well. So I went and met with them. I did my numbers before I came, and then I went and met with them and asked them, what are they looking for? And they gave me like a number like up here. And I'm like, this is what makes sense for me. And they agreed to sell, and I wholesale it right back to the contractor and make $20,000 out
Wow.
of it.
Yes,
my first deal.
That's got to be such a rush.
Yes, it was nerve-wracking. The very first deal, the very first phone calls, but
Was it nerve-wracking when you deposited the check?
No, that was exciting.
That was exciting. The nerves.
That was a really exciting
The nerves
moment.
end when you deposit the check, right?
Yes, for sure.
But it's all worth it for that. And I think
It's worth
that's a great moment just to say, like, you're never going to figure something if you can do something unless you go do it and take that risk. Like, if you weren't, even though you were so nervous as something new, the odds that you were just going to drive past the house and say they're having an estate sale, walk in and say, you know something, I'm just going to ask if they want to sell the house.
That's what it is.
There you go.
If you don't ask, you don't.
$20,000.
Yes.
$20,000 later.
Yes.
Now, what you carry, the attitude, you take action. Most people don't do that. So, I guess from a personal development standpoint, have you always been just that go-getter, high achiever? To put yourself out there, that's not easy.
Well, I consider myself growing up pretty shy, but I think I don't know. At one point, I just felt like I think I always have that attitude or that desire, like wanting more. I want to do more, and I determine, and I just feel like I don't want to give up on things too easily. Like if I want to do something, I want to go for it first. I want to give it a try, because I read it, like I heard, you hear it a lot. You don't know until you try.
Yeah.
And if I don't try it, I don't put myself out there. If I don't do it, and I don't know whether I could do it or not. And I will always challenge myself. And I think that's
you have the growth. She has, and we talk about this all the time: growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And you definitely have that growth mindset.
No, and you have to have it though. I think the number one moment that people stagnate is when they go, everything's just fine. I don't need to do anything else. It's funny. Right before we started, Tam was asking us, why did we start a podcast? Right? It's just, and it's for nothing else than we just want to keep doing. Like this, we could have just said, oh, we have the business, we're going to run the business, we'll do it. Why are we going to do this? Because it's always more. Like, you're always seeking that next thing that's going to help you grow, help other people grow, help all these other things. So sometimes it's that moment when you feel like you want to just sit back and say, I think everything's good. That's temporary. Those moments are temporary.
And also, when you're in a fixed mindset, you actually regress. It's some people could argue against it, but if you're in the same position, everything is either moving forward or going backwards. So even when you're fixed, you're actually regressing. You're atrophying. It's like when you exercise. If you don't go to the gym, the muscle will eventually atrophy. But what you were just talking about how we put ourselves out there, we wanted to spotlight incredible, amazing people, their stories, including yours. And we've had the honor and the privilege to be able to work with you for how many years has it been, Mike? You probably underwrite
at least 6 of those 7.
How many loans did you underwrite, or how many deals?
I can't count. So
many.
Every episode, you ask me a question to which I absolutely don't know the answer.
I'm trying to put you on the spot a little bit.
I don't. You know what's going on in this head? I don't have enough room up there for statistics.
Let's just say you have underwritten a lot
dozen.
of TAM's deals.
Half a dozen, somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I can. I really,
Quite
I
a
want
few.
it. It's enough that I can use the word dozen or half dozen.
Yeah,
Now-
quite a few.
So when did you? So a nest started in 2015.
iNest.
iNest started in 2015.
16.
16.
Yes.
So tell me more about a nest. What your iNest? iNest.
Yes. Like
What
iPhone.
iPhone.
iNest.
iNest.
There you go.
Okay. What is your objective? What's your mission, purpose, vision?
So I just want to tell you a little bit where iNest come from. So Nest, that's part of the nest, right? Nest, I want to build the nest for the families. So Nest is where people come, like the bird, live in their nest. The family live in their nest that with love, harmony, and prosperity. I want that for the people I'm building those homes for. So that's why I put Nest. And I was like, what am I supposed to go with Nest? So everything's like iPhone, iPod, iPad.
iNest.
So I put iNest. At first I was looking for iHome, but it was already taken. So I put iNest.
I
so
love
that's
it.
that's
I like
where
it.
Nest come from.
And what is I'm always a big believer, mission, vision, purpose. And you said you want to build a nest for the people, not just for your family, but other people's families, which is amazing. And that's why I love what we do, the fact that we're able to help investors rehabilitate these homes, provide these new rehabbed homes for future families to live in. It's amazing that we're able to help the community, and you're doing that with your company as well. What are some of the deals that you're working on right now? So you started off, you did that wholesale deal. Did you do wholesale? Did you transition? If you could tell the audience, obviously, we know what you
Right.
have been working on.
So that was actually my one and only wholesale deal. Everything else I start to do to do it myself, like do the rehabs myself. So we've been, as you know, thank you so much for like working with me. In the beginning, as the newbie. I started, it's just like so much to learn, so much to do, and it's like so overwhelmed, right? But I think you guys have came along and just really guide me, my company, through like a lot of these deals, and I'm very grateful.
Because I started with Alpha in 2015. Mike started a couple years prior.
Yes.
How did you find Alpha at the time?
Well, so the first couple of deals I didn't go through with you guys, and David was the one who just like texted me, like reached out to me because he saw I post online with my deals and stuff, so he started reaching out, and finally I talked to him, and I think we started 2017, 18 is when we start working with you guys. But yeah, it was thanks to David. He was persistent.
Thank
he's
you,
gonna,
David.
He's gonna love that. He's gonna
He was
isolate
very
that audio.
persistent in getting me sign up with him.
Every
for
time
sure.
he doesn't feel good about his day, he's just gonna play that over again.
Yes.
So you went from some of the flips,
Yes.
and what are some of the other projects that you've completed?
Well, like maybe
Yes.
tell us more. Like I know because I've worked on a good portion of her deals. You know, it's interesting seeing the change. Like, so you said you started with a wholesale deal,
Right.
and then obviously we did some
Small
single family
Yes.
stuff, and then we did some commercial stuff.
Yes.
I remember the first time you showed me a commercial building. I was like, wow, we're upgrading. We're upgrading here. So like you've definitely had an arc where you started. You know, I'd almost want to say it is the true traditional arc of a real estate investor, right? You've kind of dabbled in it. You started as a wholesaler. We hear a lot of that, right? A lot of people starting as wholesalers. You know, so you did one of those deals. You went into the single family, and then you started on the small ones. Then we built up to the middle ones, and we got a big one.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, I can't remember how many doors it was. Was it the one was in Patterson? We did
Patterson was
Patterson
5
was
doors.
5
Yes.
doors.
Yes.
All of a sudden, we're moving from this, you know, easy fix and flip single family to 5 doors in Patterson to what we worked on not so long ago, your condo. So it's like,
Right.
tell us about that arc. Like was it just getting comfortable over time with the deals, or was it just something like you said before, like I knew this
more.
is where we have to go. We have to go bigger. We have to go better. We have to go more.
Yes, definitely. I say I always want more, and I wanted to grow as a company grow, and also as for my personal growth. So yeah, I'm still doing single family fix and flip because I love it. I really love it. But I want for us to, and I think that the point of doing fix and flip is to get that to earn that income so that you can put down for the apartment or like for the rental, and then single family rental, and then apartment rentals, and we kept moving up, right? So to buy a little bit bigger of the properties and the commercial properties and things like that. So for me, I'm going again. It's all real estate and diversification. Of course, that for the past year, it was not that great with the fix and flip. So, but the rental was like we blew up with our rental properties during the COVID time.
So prior to 2020,
Yes.
how many rental doors did you have? And today, how many rental doors do you have?
Prior to 2020, none. Well,
None.
actually one.
Sorry, one.
One because that was my previous home that I rented out
Okay.
before I got married and moved.
So we're pre-COVID here. It's 2020. We have one rental property.
One rental.
And where are we today?
We are at 72. Yes.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And you did
And-
that through a pandemic.
Through pandemic. Oh, I'm sorry, and I forgot.
Hang on. I don't want to pat myself on the shoulder here, but I forgot a little something along the way.
We have a 66 units in Texas as well.
In addition to the 72.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just going to dust that off a little bit here for a second. But you went from in a global pandemic where people can't go outside, people can't do anything, everything's weirdly locked down, all this crazy stuff. You went from one rental unit to over 120 rental units in that span. And in the last year, that's including the last year with interest rates going all over the place and a lot of uncertainty, and you still managed to bring in over 120 plus new rental units into your portfolio.
Doors, yes. Well, that's doors, like
Yeah, doors, but
yes.
incredible,
Yes, thank
incredible.
you. Well, it was the 3 years, the span of 3 years during the pandemic.
Even then,
But
that's
funny enough,
40
you know,
doors a
But
year.
but that's
on
the
average.
span of 3 years.
Yes.
But you only started 7 years ago, and 7
that's-
years ago, you had one wholesale deal. So like, you have to sometimes, I know it's crazy. You're like, oh, over 3 years, I got 120, but let's back it up. Let's take the wide shot, right? 7 years ago, no real estate. Then from 7 years ago to today, we went from one wholesale that she driving around town and took a shot, right? Walked into somebody's house and said, can I buy it? To I own 72 doors here and there and a 66 unit building in Texas.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't done that in the last 7 years.
Yeah. What?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a hustler. What can I say?
All right.
I love it.
We finally did it. We brought it out. She finally got to tell us that she's a hustler.
So I have a question. How do you balance it all? Because you have your kids, your husband, your businesses. How do you make it all work? And then obviously I would love to unpack how you got to the 120 door mark. But
I think it's all part of it, though. Like part of that unpacking is that balance, because you can't, if you don't figure that part out, you won't be able to do it. So I'm really interested in the answer to his question.
During COVID, working from home, I'm sure your kids, they were at home, right, during that period. How did you make it all work? How do you continue to make it all work?
That's a great question. Well, it's not easy. I tell you that, it's not easy, but I don't think about it too much. I just do it.
Okay.
It's just like I have to do it, and I just do it. Balancing it, so pretty much during COVID, of course, like the kids are home doing, work, learning from home is tough for them, tough for us. I go crazy. But thankfully, during COVID, we still be able to do construction, so I still be able to get out and do, work on the project. After COVID, it pretty much when, with the kids to go back to school, so drop them off, pick them up. So during the time that they're in school, I do what I gotta do in my office, go to the job site, do what I have to do for the business. But after school, my kids have after school activity, they have Kung Fu, they have soccer practice, they are in the clubs, they have drama club, they have track meets and all this stuff. But that's the time for them. I prioritize their schedule, like what they have to do. That's their time, and strictly on their time. So now that they grow up a bit older, and I don't have to like babysit them too much, or like homework and stuff. They can do their own homework. But I can get on my to do what I have to do on my computer during when they go to bed and things like that too. So I get back on to working at night. Okay. I've been doing that for a long time.
I'm a big picture person, so I just to back it out again, right? Because this is the way my mind works. 7 years ago, left her job, wholesale deal. That's how we started. 7 years later, 120 plus rental units. During those 7 years, full-time mom.
Yes.
And you've continued to take
and
more
I cook
and more.
every day.
Wow.
It's that moment. It's it's stories like these, Matt, that I go like, what's the excuse?
There is no excuse.
But everybody has one.
Well, yes, there's excuses. Everyone has them.
But how do you listen to that? How do you say, listen, you can start from stumbling into an estate sale to flip it to wholesale a house to all of these rental units and be a full-time parent?
It's one thing. It's literally one thing, and you spoke about it. You take action. And how many people, and I even, to take back action and to bring it into about just showing up. It's amazing that you will probably be in the top 3% of this world by just showing up on a consistent basis. So many people accept mediocrity. And by taking that step forward and showing up every single day on the kids, because people can show up, but they don't show up consistently. So even the ones that do take action, they don't take action consistently. The fact that you constantly keep taking action, that is really, I think that's and not making excuses. You focus not on the problem, but the solution. And I guess
It's not even a solution to a problem because she doesn't even see it as a problem. It's
Yeah.
not a problem
I
for
just
her.
do it.
It's
I'm
just
like,
it
I
is.
just do it.
Yeah, but I'm sure during some of your projects, how many times have you been in a project and some, construction budget goes sideways?
Definitely,
So,
yeah.
but you're always focused on the action. You're in action mode, or zone action, as they would say, and you're always moving.
I always move forward, and I said this before, and I'm still gonna say it now. We're gonna fall down, and I can fall down 7 times, but at least as long as I get up 8 times, then I'm good.
And that's so important. I think I hear so much from people we meet. We're out at events, we're meeting new people, and they're like, I just don't know if I want to leave my job. This is not a PSA to go leave your job and do real estate, but you hear so much from people saying, I don't know if I want to leave this, or I don't want to do that, or, I'm never going to, or they look at people like you, or even others who have built incredible businesses. They go, I can't do that. How am I supposed to do that? On some of our other podcasts, we talk about, raising money. Oh, I don't have enough money to go do a deal and all these other pieces. And I think those are just the excuses. Like, listening to your story of just going from literally from zero, not zero in life, but zero in real estate.
It literally was 0.
Literally zero in real estate to today in a time frame which, 7 years is.
We're not even looking at a decade. This is not even 10 years.
Yeah.
People live 8x, 7x what we're talking about here.
7 years, not even sending your kid to middle school, like that hasn't even happened yet, and to look at that, I think there's a story there, and it's important to say, like, this business is so accessible. And I think that's something from listening to you talk. I feel like that was one of the things that I keep getting from you is you've enjoyed it because of that accessibility. Like, there was nothing stopping you. You didn't need any prior qualification. Yes, you signed up for Than Merrill. Great. Than, he has a great program, but like, you walked into that house on your own. Nobody said, here's a card, and now you're allowed to walk into houses to try to buy them. You just like, I was driving around town and I saw an estate sale, and I just thought, hey, I'm just going to ask you, do you want to sell your house to me? And I think that it's so interesting that you can build an entire business with something that you need absolutely no prerequisites. And I think that also gets into people's minds a lot too. Like, I need to make sure I have all this done, and I have all that done, and I have this and I have that. And yes, it's good to be prepared. Absolutely good to be prepared. But there's no class, there's no degree, there's no nothing. You just need to be you, and you need to have the attitude of, I just want to go do it. Yeah. And that's what makes real estate, I think, it's the ultimate equalizer for everybody, no matter what you're doing.
You have to be willing to put yourself out there, though. And the fact that you continuously put yourself out there, how we've been talking about it, how you've just gone from wholesaling to flips. I mean, you're still doing the flips, but you started acquiring rental properties and all the things, and you just continuously keep putting yourself out there in such a short period of time, being able to do so much. It's incredible.
Well, I think the one part that also comes to the success part of it, and I can say this because I've worked on a lot of your deals. Tell me about when you come into a deal, any deal, right? Because I don't think it matters if you're doing a fix and flip, you're building a brand new house, or you're preparing a property for rentals. What's your approach to the value add? Like, what's your approach looking at the deal, right? Because I can say from experience, you have incredible work product, and you're buying incredible. You're paying for that work product. Like, we're not talking like, we're doing cheap stuff here, but like somehow, and you do it on time. So that right there is just, that's the piece of the puzzle that not everybody gets. But what's your approach to that work product? When you come into it, what do you those moments where you want to cut corners and you don't? Tell me a little about like what goes in your mind, because I think across all of your asset classes, they've always looked spectacular. So tell me what your mindset is on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say your recipe for success.
I like that
because you say you're a cook as well.
Well, thank you. So for me, I build the house, or I renovate the house whereas I would have where I would want to live in it, and cut corners is not in my dictionary. So because I just we had to analyze the deal. Oh, of course, there's time that things happen unexpectedly. It's not with my real estate career. Not always rosy, and it's not always nice. There's time that I lost on the deal, right? But the thing is that that is my whatever I build or whatever the house that I sell. That's gonna be that's my reputation. That's me. That's my product. I don't want to if one of your product, like if you cut corner and something happen, that you can do 100 good things, and then that one product is bad, it's can ruin your reputation, right? And then also, I just want like I say, I want to build something that I would live in it, would want to live in it, and if something happened to the homeowner, I would feel terrible, right? If something happened to the house, I'm like, okay, that's my mistake, and I don't want that to happen. And I want to be able to sleep good at night. Yes.
I'll take that.
Yes, I definitely want to be able to sleep good at night. And I just, for me, I feel like what you bring, I want my product to represent me. Like, I don't want, it has to be good. It has to be nice. It has to be, my signature is on there. I want it to be the best.
Your signature red doors.
Red door, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? If the audience, let the audience know about your signature red doors.
Well, as red for me is a one meaning is the lucky color. Secondly, it's bold and beautiful. So the courage, I have that courage to go out there and do this, to build, to do. I think it's fair to say that this is more on the men-dominated world with the real estate and with the building, the construction. Mm-hmm. Now that women probably do it more now, but this
and
is
do it better probably.
Probably, I don't know. But I think one thing I have to say that we pay attention to the details. So when I go walk my properties, I want to make sure there's no that door need to be installed properly, or there's no scratch on there and things like that. Little things counts, right? But for me, it's just the product that I have. I just want it to, like I say, I just want it to be the best product out there.
So the red door is your seal of approval.
The red door is my seal of approval. It just means that whoever is going to live here, I wish for them to be happy, lucky.
Like you said,
to have that.
It's basically you saying, if you don't move in, I could move in because this is a house I'd want to live in.
It's the house I would want to live in. Correct. I'm not allowed to move yet because my children don't want me to. They won't want to move anywhere. They have their friends. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's why I kept it the red door. Like I wanted to show the boldness of me doing this work. And just the luck. I want my luck for me and luck for the new homeowners.
I like that.
I love that. So I'm going to ask you a question, and this is an important question to me. So we've obviously done a fair amount of deals together. Tell me, because I've already spent a couple podcast episodes going the other direction. What makes you a great borrower?
What makes me a great borrower?
Yes, I've waxed lyrically about what borrowers can do to be great borrowers. But obviously you've borrowed from us enough times. You have great product. We're talking about your pieces of success. So now you're coming, give your advice to those who come to me for financing.
Yeah, what would be your blueprint for
obviously
a strong? You
came to us. We did a deal. We did that deal right away. We've always worked on your deals. What would you tell somebody this is how you're a great borrower?
Me as person.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have someone who
So-
is
You're going to
asking
tell
you.
Matt,
Right.
I'm going to give you the secret, my secrets of being a great borrower and hard money.
Well, always pay back. You pay back
All
the
right.
loan.
That was a easy- that was a layup. That was an easy one.
Definitely. Well, with me, I treat other people's money more important than my own money. The reason being is that I'm in this business for the long term, not for just 1 year, 2 year. And obviously, I last 7 years now. But hopefully, will be more, a lot more. But I for me, it's because, well, you as a lender, as a company, is probably different, but it's still the same concept. That's your hard-earned money, right? I have to respect that. So I need to make sure I pay back. I make sure, well, for me, before I even go into the loaning, I need to analyze my deal properly, right? I need to have my number conservatively. That one way to protect other people's money, the lender's money. And I think that will make me a great borrower because I don't just buy impulsively or just do the number as, because I want that property and I just fudge the number. And just provide paperwork for you guys as, if you request something, I have to make sure I send it to you in a timely manner.
I actually think
Mike's smiling
I am
so much
smiling
right now.
because I actually think it's what you said about how that realization you're working with someone else's money. So just to give an idea here a little bit about why that resonates with me. So when I started at Alpha 10 years ago, before I ever started in Alpha, because I had known David for a long time before that, my mom was one of the first investors in Alpha funding. So when I started, my mom was still investing in Alpha funding. And I remember sitting at my desk when I started underwriting loans, and Mark used to come into my office and we'd sit and we'd go over loans for the day and who's, prove, deny. And at the end of every conversation for every loan was the same. Gonna put your mom's money in this deal? As every conversation ended like that. Every time he could read my face, and every time I was a little like, I don't know, he'd be like, gonna put your mom's money in the deal? And then he'd always catch me on my heels with it, even though I knew it was coming. But that's important. It's like, we are here, Matt talks about it a lot, where he tells people we're our capital partner. We're here to make your business thrive, right? And I don't know that always borrowers feel that in the reverse, right? Like, there is a symbiotic relationship between us and borrowers. We need you and you need us, right? There's always that piece. But I think sometimes it gets a little lost that I feel like there's a lot of borrowers versus lenders.
Yes.
And I feel like that takes over. And I was smiling because that's not what Tam was saying. Tam was saying, we're in it together and your money is important. And not,
the right lender and the right borrower, I believe that is true.
Yeah, and I think there's a mentality that has to be shifted, and I think whether it's the pandemic or as the rates are rising, right? And I think especially when rates are rising, when rates are on the way down, I don't think anybody feels like there's this adverse relationship. Like everybody's like, who's got the money? Who's got the cheapest? Let's go. But I think on the way up, I think it's easy for there to be this adverse relationship between borrowers and lenders. Like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you charging me this money? Why is this difficult? Why is this different? Why do I have to show this? And I think it's that moment when you realize like we're in this symbiotic relationship. Like, it's the same as it was before. It's just things are always going to change.
It's difference, yes.
The market, let's see. So you started in 2015? 2017. Mm-hmm. The market is a very different place from 2017 till now. Mm-hmm. It's a very different place when I started. I mean, 2013 is like it's another dimension. I mean, real, the loans I was looking at when Mark was asking me if I put my mom's money into it, it's so different. The way loans are structured is so different. And I'm going to tell you right now, in another 5 years, it's going to look different again. Nothing stays the same. And I think that's that moment where you have to realize like things are going to change. And it's not because we want to punish borrowers. Like that's a terrible idea. People say that to me all the time. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you punishing me? I was like, punishing you? If I don't have you, I'm not doing it. I have no business. I have no business without you.
I think it's very important from a borrower standpoint, but also from a lender standpoint. Like, if we truly look at this as a partnership, and if you do have the right borrower, and if you are the right lender, and it's truly a partnership, it's always important to seek to understand. And just like if we were to ask for something, or if we're doing things a certain way, you have every right to want to say, why are they doing, or why would you guys need to do it this way? I'm just curious. Or, putting ourselves in your shoes. If we're looking for something and, we want you to acquiesce and we want you to meet us halfway, well, it's important for us to also put ourselves in your shoes. And it's so important for everyone to meet halfway and look at it, like you said, like a symbiotic relationship, because it really is. But I see a lot of it, it's not like that. I think part of it is because maybe sometimes you might have the right borrower, but it's not with the right lender. This is where, I'm going to go on my soapbox about Alpha. I truly believe that that's what we do that sets us apart. We may not be the biggest group. We've done an incredible job over the last couple of years to expand into a nationwide footprint, offer more products, more resources, our technology. We've expanded our technology, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's relationships, and it's being there for the other person. Just like in a relationship, you recently got married.
Yeah.
So when did you get married?
I got married 17 years ago.
Oh, 17 years ago. I thought I heard you say earlier that you recently got married. That was a mistake on my part.
I recently got married.
Mike got recently married.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. So this is a great question.
Matt wants to get married. By the way, if there's anyone listening, Matt's a bachelor.
Is this going to be running every episode? Are we going to talk about this?
If you stop bringing it up, then I'll stop talking about it.
I was going to say, in a marriage, how have you maintained that marriage of 17 years? Because it's not easy. It's a
communication, definitely a communication and then mutual understanding. But I can definitely vouch with Alpha Funding. I think as a client and the lender and borrower relationship, I think you guys just have been very amazing. You guys been awesome as far as working with me as a borrower to get me go move the paperwork so quickly to get the deal closed, get on the closing table very efficiently. I'm happy, and I will always borrow from you guys, right? I even though I may explore other lenders as well,
as
just
you
like
should.
NAB.
As you absolutely should.
It's always important to have options.
Yes. So, but I always go back to you guys because I felt the connection. You guys very personable, and then you were so willing to help. And like you say, it's a partnership. Some people don't realize. I've talked to a friend of mine who does fix and flip, and he say, "Oh, why you pay these lenders so much money?" And I'd say, "Well, if you don't have them, you can only do this one deal with your own money. But if you have them, if you have to partner with the lenders, even though you're paying the lenders this much money, but then you can get to do more deals and bring home more money. And that's not even your money. It's someone else's money that enable you to do all these deals."
I think it's interesting, and I'm going to ask you this question to kind of follow up on that, right? Which is, so I asked you what makes you a great borrower, and that was, I love the answer because it made me smile. But let me ask you this question for you to give advice to other people listening, right? And it's not just Alpha, because I know you look at other lenders, and this is me telling everybody out there, look at never be beholden to one thing, right? Always diversify, always make sure you're looking at multiple different avenues, whether it's you have a couple hard money lenders, you have,
Different
contractors, gap
title
funding,
companies.
everything. You never get pigeonholed into one thing. But what would you give the advice to other people? That thing that you look for in a lender, because you kind of said it. You were talking about our relationship, and it's that moment when we get a lot of people. I mean, it's our business of, well, so and so's cheaper than you, or so and so's this, or this happened, or I'm gonna, what's that moment? Because you're just telling me your friend flipping a house is saying, why are you paying them all this money? And I could say 1,000 times over again, if you're worried about how much money you're paying me, then the deal's not good enough, right? That's the truth. And if your deal's so good, it doesn't matter what you're paying me, right? And that's not me saying, yes, I'm going to make some money off of it. That's a little shameless self-promote there, but it's true though. If you have the right deal, paying your lender for that money is just opportunity cost for you to make an incredible amount of money. So, but what would you tell that investor if you had to say, listen, you just told me what makes you a great borrower. What do you look for in that lender? And not just alpha.
Right.
Yeah, private, hard money.
So the lender, just like anything, is you want to like the people you work with. So I would want to meet with you. I would like to be around you or talk to you, to work with you, right? So that's one thing I'm looking for is I need to know, because I'm watching. Even though I don't say too much, but I'm watching. So I watch how your interaction with others, or I watch how your comments on Facebook, because a lot of it, everything is on Facebook, online, and things like that. And then I watch what other people say and how you respond. I watch that, and and then when I request for information, how quickly you provide it to me. Or how quickly someone reach out to say, okay, you have to deal, let's analyze it, let's talk about it, and then how quick, and then for me, how quickly you turn around for my loan. A lot of time we at the time crunch where we need to close right away. How quickly can you close for me, right? So that's another thing for me. And then just that understanding and the communication between ourselves, among ourselves. I think that's so important for me.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. It really does, because, Alpha has never been the biggest lender. At one point I think we were, a large regional lender, but I think the one thing that's never changed for us is that it's the relationship part. And that's what it is. At the end of the day, there's something about going into your bank, right, and borrowing money from the people at your local credit union or whatever. And there's something else to say about going online to Chase and putting in some information and having somebody you've never met look at your life and your credit history and tell you whether or not they're going to lend you money. Right? I think there's a difference to that. And I think our business is a hands-on business. It just is. I'm going to give a shout out because, as important as Matt and I might sound, or we think we sound important, because I don't know that we're that important. I actually want to give a shout out to our team member. I want to give a shout out to Pat Szymanski, because while I have Tam on, this actually I think speaks more to that than to whether myself, Priscilla, anybody on my underwriting staff works on a loan. That's that relationship. It's not just the closing. It's the after closing. It's the service you get. A loan isn't just a moment. I actually love to tell that to borrowers, because I think when you're searching for a loan, you're out there, you're looking, you're shopping rate, you're shopping all these things, but you're not shopping that post-close service.
Yeah, what happens when something goes wrong? And
not even something goes wrong. There's a lot of work that goes into a loan after it closes. These are construction loans. If you have $100,000, $150,000 construction budget, there's a lot of work to get that money out the door after the closing. Mm-hmm. And I think what you're saying, that's what hit me with what you were saying, is it's not just the relationship of, oh, are you going to lend me the money? Oh, am I going to get it? Do I get the best rate? it's all the what do you need after? Am I going to get that same level of service? Oh, maybe I got a great rate. Maybe I got this, and this. But, I got contractors to pay on a Friday afternoon. Are they getting paid?
And definitely the drawer. Like you guys are so quick on the drawer for me. Send out the inspector to do the drawer inspection, and then the wire hits pretty much the next day or two. I think that's like really important. Like you say, I need to pay my contractor.
Yeah.
Because I would feel bad if I don't pay them, because they have to bring home the bread to the family, right? So that's important. And also, I want to shout out to Priscilla too.
Okay.
Because I just like Priscilla's always stay on top of with getting the paperwork, and then she's so patient with me a lot of times. Like, this was like, Tam, send this. Sometimes, I'm running around all day, and then by the time I get home, dinner, homework, and then, running around with the kids, by the time I get to sit down, it's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And then I forgot. And then she was just like, send an email, reminder. And I think that's just so important, because I appreciate that. Because to have somebody, it's like my accountability partner to get the loan.
She's in it with you.
Yes.
She's in it with you the whole way.
And same with Pat. Once you close, and Pat, I just want to give
unsung hero.
Yeah, Pat was speaking glowingly about you. He was like, Tam is so wonderful to work with. You move through your deals. You make your payments on time. You're a great operator. Yes. And he says every one of your deals, you always sell it over asking.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, not all the time, but we do.
Well, he doesn't remember those, because we were on our team call. And when we told him you were coming in, and he was like, "It's still gonna be the best thing ever." She's the best bar.
Thank you. I wish I could get to see them, but yeah, definitely. I can't say enough good things about you guys.
Well, and I didn't want to just make this about us, but I do appreciate it. I will take the plug. I mean,
take it while you're
here. I'll take it. It's fine.
Yes, for sure.
But I think there's the last thing that I want to say before we wrap up is, I think the important thing is you said something, and very unprompted, and it's very it's important, I think, in this business, because we're talking about relationships, we're talking about knowing the people you work with, is that in Alpha, most of the people who work here have worked here. Like, I've personally been here for 10 years, and I've known Tam since she started in the business. Priscilla's been here 5 years. 5 years. My God, it's 5 years. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't even believe that.
At Alpha for 5 years.
At Alpha. And I think that says something too. We love what we do. Our staff loves what they do. We love helping people, and we stick with it. And I think maybe that's, I don't know if that's a good thing to look for, but I think that's a thing to look for. Are you working with people that you can't remember who's working on your stuff or what's going on? Or can you build those relationships with your capital partner? And not just me, can you build the relationships with everybody along the way? We started working together. You started working with Priscilla, Pat. Like I said, the unsung. He's going to be my unsung hero of this episode. But you're working with Pat, who doesn't get that upfront limelight, who has to deal with all the problems of a construction loan. Truthfully, he deals with all the problems of a construction loan. Construction. This didn't get done. This cost too much money. The siding's not in when the guy came. It's everything. But it's building that relationship. It's the fact that I could get on a call and my servicing director can say to me, "I love that borrower. Yeah, love that borrower." It's easy for the underwriters to say it.
And it's not,
but it's not easy for him to say.
And it's not a surprise. I just want to also congratulate you on your award that you received last year.
Thank you.
You were named the Woman of the Year.
That's not surprising at all.
With the town of Secaucus, and that's an amazing award. And it's a testament to.
It's a little limited, though.
Who knows?
I feel like you should have gotten a bigger award. Just Secaucus, it's a little small.
Well,
we gotta get you the award for woman of the year.
I appreciate that, and I'm humble to receive that award, because I'm pretty sure there's other people that in the town that helped during the pandemic. I was nominated I was a nominee, honoree for the Hudson County
There you go.
Yes, for the Women History in 2020.
That's really exciting.
2022.
That's so exciting.
Yes, it's very exciting, very rewarding, and I was honored. I was very honored to be able to be the person to represent our town.
So a couple last things I want to ask you. What would you say is your why? Like we always talk about mission, vision, purpose.
Right.
What is your why? What you obviously you're very driven,
Yes.
and you're inspired. What is it
Thank you.
by?
Well, definitely, first and foremost, are my children, my family. We all have our sob stories, right? And I'm not going to put that there, but I grew up, didn't have that. Didn't have a lot. And went through a very difficult time during my youth. But I just felt like, so my why, go back to my why is my children. I want to be able to provide for them, to give them what we didn't have, but also to give that, not to spoil them in a way. It's just like to show them that, like, okay, mommy and daddy worked hard so that we can have this. We can go on vacations 2-3 times a year, and that, I think, to show them, like, you gotta work for what you want. That was part of my why as well. I want to do it. I want to show my children, yes, I'm doing this because I want to live the life that, the lifestyle that we want. Like if we want to have a nice house, if we want to work for it, we don't. And I told them, money doesn't come down from the sky or grow from the tree, right? But then my other why is, of course, the lifestyle I want to live, right? And then another thing is the orphanages is what I hold near and dear to my heart. So we have a lot of orphanages in Vietnam, and that's the second thing that I want to do is to help out those children, because my mom passed away when I was little, and it's just the feeling of that missing something like in your life, and looking at these children, they are not just missing one parent, they miss the whole, like both of the parents. They live in the orphanage, and a lot of them were sick, were abandoned as well. So if I could help them, or I could help one kid, that helped me as well to heal. There's other things too, that my other why. I hope one day I have that courage to be able to help the women whose lives have not been in the best. We went through tough time in their life, and I want to be able to help that one day.
I wouldn't sell yourself short on the courage, right? You already demonstrated you have it, right? That moment
Yes.
when you walk into a house, no idea, but that translates to so many other things. And it's beautiful what you said, and it's incredible giving back. Like, I think,
Yes.
that's the part that people miss a little bit in our business, is the giving back part. And Matt actually illustrated a little earlier is that's a lot of what we do is a lot of that, right? It's, yes, we're making loans, we're making money, you guys are making money, but every time somebody fixes a house, that's a new house on the block.
Yes.
That's a new house for someone to live in.
Right.
That's a new something. Like every time, and I think this is where sometimes I think rehabbers get a bad rap. Every time they come into a neighborhood, every time they start buying up houses and they do something, that neighborhood is instantly better every time one of those houses are done.
And for new families to create memories in there as well. So it's, but that's, and then just I-nest. Yes.
I-nest, that's it.
for sure.
I love
for
that.
sure. Yes.
I guess my last question would be, how do you stay sharp on a day-to-day basis? You do incredible work. You manage tons of stuff. We talked about work-life balance, but what do you do to stay sharp, being the best version of yourself?
So for sure, I'm sure there's the days that I just like, oh my God, what am I doing, right?
We're all human.
I'm human too, yes. So staying sharp is just continue loving what I do, because I still love what I do, and I think that passion, I transfer that into what I do. Like I transfer to my design, or go into the job site and just loving seeing the studs. I might be crazy, but I just love going to the job site, seeing things being built, and seeing the transformation of the house, and to the last minute where it's we stage it. It's oh my God.
The rush.
That's, yes.
We were talking about this
Yes.
with David about
Thrill.
just the thrill of real estate, the thrill of
Right.
a deal.
Yes.
And seeing this come together from the beginning to the end. It's got to
Yes.
be so rewarding.
Right. And it's just staying focused, and that's my, just keeping me sharp. Just I have to keep staying focused on what I do and what I want. This is my goal. So maybe next year I want to get more properties, and then I need to stay focused on that.
So, lastly, if somebody wanted to contact you, contact your company, if you had a home that you were selling, you were putting on the market,
Yes.
how could they reach you, Tam?
They can go. I have a Facebook page with the INES Property Solution. We have another one, INES Premier Properties. That we
What's
do.
the
Yeah, well,
premier
what's
property
premier?
part?
Well, INES only do premier properties.
Good
Only
answer.
premier,
Good
yes.
answer.
But no, it also consists of the rentals
Mm-hmm.
that we have. If we have something for rent, and we put it on there.
Is it on your Facebook or is it a website?
We have a Facebook. We have a
Okay.
website for INES Premier Properties.
Right, everybody, you'll be able to find that in the show notes. We'll be able to drop it in
Yes.
there so you
Or
can find
you,
that.
I have Facebook page. I have Instagram that you can look me up, Tam Lei, or INES Property, or INES Premier Properties. You want me to give the phone number too?
No, you can.
No,
You can give it if you want. If not, we'll just make sure it's in the show notes.
yeah,
we'll have everything for everybody
Okay.
when they
we'll
look it up.
share Yeah, we'll make
Yes.
sure that we share it. Thank you
Yes.
so much for coming on today. I hope you have a
welcome.
great. I hope you have a
Tam,
great
this was an
time.
absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for
We've come a
having
long
me.
way together, haven't we?
I know.
This is
we
so
have.
exciting. I'm so happy we
And
got to sit down
just,
with each
just
other.
one really quick note, right? Just for the viewer, for the listener, I guess is it does, like you said before, no excuse. Like we shouldn't have any excuse to do things, and for me, and I want to say to even the women and men out there, don't give yourself that excuse that I can't do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just go out there and do it, and have that determination. Okay, this is what you see, exactly what you want, and if that's what you want, go for it. And I always say, you don't know if it's a yes or a no until you ask, and the worst thing can happen is
They say no.
Say no.
say no.
Yeah.
And you don't know until you try whether you could do it or not. The worst thing it would happen to you is you can't, right? That is not that you can't do it, but you don't know until you try.
And if we circle that all the way back to the way
Yes.
beginning, that's how you got started. You walked into that house
Correct.
and you shot your shot, as they would say.
Yes.
You just
As scared as I was determined to find out what.
And you might not have been here if you never took that chance. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
you're always showing up and taking action. We were talking about that earlier.
absolutely the most important thing.
Okay.
I hope everybody enjoyed that. That was amazing. Just the end there, and I'm so excited we had you on today.
Thank you again for having me, guys.
Thank
Absolute
you.
pleasure.
Thank you, producer Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.